Thanks for listening to Better Business, Better Life. I'm your host, Deborah Chantry-Taylor. We're going to do something a little bit fun now. This podcast, would you believe, has been going since 2020. It started off as a bit of a fun hobby, and now some 5 or 6 years later, we're 260 episodes in and still going strong. Each week I produce a new episode, but I thought it might be fun to bring back some of the old episodes and leave them just exactly as they were. So no tweaks, no edits. So there might be a little bit of poor quality in there, but at least you'll get to see and hear from some of the most amazing business people that I've spoken to over those 5 or 6 years. I really hope you enjoy the episodes, and don't forget, if you ever need any help, just reach out to me. I'm only an email away, deborah@businessaction.com.au or deborah@businessaction.co.nz. Better Business, Better Life, here to help. So good morning and welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life. Today I am joined by Lawson, who is joining us from the US. And Corey is the president and co-owner and visionary of the family-owned company All Volleyball Inc. Is that right, Corey?
That is correct.
Great. Hey, look, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, we always like to get started with sharing a professional and a personal best. It's an EOS thing, as you know, and just to give the listeners a bit of an insight into who Corey is.
Yeah, happy to do it, and thanks for having me. I would say personal best is we just talked a few minutes offline ago. EOS has helped me so much and helped our business so much that I've been able to use the tools, drink the Kool-Aid, as we like to say internally at work here, that the business is really transformed. And so I am actually transitioning out of the everyday of the company. I've made that decision official just a couple of days ago, and I will be starting the journey to becoming a professional EOS implementer myself, focusing on family businesses. So that has been a long time in the works, but it really just became official in terms of paperwork signing, scheduling boot camp, making those arrangements. So it's a big milestone for me personally and professionally.
High five. That's fantastic. Can't wait to have you put part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait to be part of it. And then professional best, we operate on a financial calendar year, and we just closed our year, had the best year that we've ever had, both in revenue and profits. And so we were really thrilled to put a stamp on 2021, and we look forward to 2022.
That's great, especially with everything that's going around the world. That's just fantastic news. Well done.
Absolutely.
Oh, so obviously we're here to talk about EOS today, and your family business has been using it for a couple of years now. Would you give us a bit of a history of your family business and how it came about, how you got involved, and then bringing EOS into it?
Sure. So family-owned business. I'm second-generation owner. My dad started the company 26 years ago in 1995. He never graduated from high school. He was a union welder his entire life, and he got laid off. His job got shipped to Mexico, and he didn't have a job. And right around that time, my sister, who's also a co-owner, she's a year older than I am, she was starting to play volleyball, and he was driving around St. Louis, Missouri, where we're based at. Couldn't find anything volleyball related, and just decided to start a volleyball store, just a little retail store, 400 square feet in a small strip mall. No business degree, no high school education, and he just went for it. And that's what he did. And he gutted it out for several years, and slow, steady progress along the way. And then you fast forward about 12 years ago, I joined the family company. And around that time, we were a little bit under $2 million in revenue. My mom and my sister and just a small group of other staffers worked with us, almost all of them part-time. And then we just kept going, right foot, left foot, rinse and repeat, just trying to show up for our customer. But small growth, almost every year, and just having a hard time getting out of our own way. 5 years ago, we started the succession planning. So my sister and I became official owners, and really the everyday operations was turned over to us. And one of my first priorities, 5 years ago, was figuring out how we're going to last into the next generation, both mine and hopefully my kids someday. Mm-hmm. And I spent a couple of years just, falling all over myself, trying to figure out what the next steps were, both in how to, deal with the changing market and a changing world and a changing industry, but also like, how are we going to use these tools? What tools can we use to actually put this into play? I tried many different things: open book management, lean process improvements. I dabbled in Rockefeller habits. EOS, many people call it traction, was recommended to me by some friends. I'm in EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization, and that was recommended to me. I took a look at it. I decided very quickly that I was not capable nor I was qualified to actually implement it. So I walked away from it. I gave it a year, came back to it, and realized that if I was going to be able to, take our company where we wanted to go, I needed a better operating system. And so spent a fair amount of time talking to people internally, making sure that we were ready for it. And when we decided we were ready for it, we went for it. And so we went all in, and that was about 2 years ago. And we have been implementing it with, a certified implementer for 2 years. And, it's really changed our business. So we started implementing it right before the pandemic happened, and went through there and got us to here. So that's really the short business story, but we're a volleyball specific company. So we focus on selling all things volleyball related to athletes. They're, generally their parents, their families are the ones that make the buying decision. So, really a B2C market, and we have a B2B market, which are teams, organizations, these big clubs that operate in the US and worldwide, that we service all the athletes in their clubs. And we've really had a narrow focus since the beginning, and that's proven us well.
Great. Hey, so I know that you talked about trying Lean, Open Book Management, Rockefeller Habits. They're all really, really great systems. I mean, I know them all as well. What was it that appealed to you about EOS?
I think I saw myself in the business. When EOS, EOS has a lot of funny jargon, the semantics, the visionary and the integrator, and quarterly conversations and rocks, and just all kinds of, fun colloquialisms. But, when I started reading about a visionary, I really saw myself there. But part of my hesitation initially was I don't have an integrator. And I am the integrator, and I'm also the bottle washer and cook and everything else.
Yep.
But I saw myself in there. And when I saw myself in there, I gave myself a chance to explore what the other tools and systems were like. And what I realized was that it's a harder system, I believe, to implement than some of these others, but it is a turnkey system, and it addresses everything from the really high level stuff like core values and long-term targets, all the way down to how do you run meetings. And that's really what I needed. Was I didn't need just tools and tricks. I needed really a turnkey system that I could just open the playbook and say, if I follow this playbook, if I just do what it tells me to do and I execute it to the very best of my ability, then we're going to win. And once I found that, and I gave myself permission to say, we have to build our company around this, that's when things started happening. They didn't happen overnight, but the progress really did start immediately. But really when it came down to is that, I was scared from it at first because it was so comprehensive, because there was a tool for, essentially everything. That scared me at first. But when I realized this was for us, this was the only way, we just knew that we had to dive headfirst into it. And that's really what's been the linchpin to the majority of our success.
Oh, that's great. It is interesting you say that, actually, because a lot of people do say, oh, well, it's so tight in terms of what it provides, and you have to follow all these different tools and rules and things. They feel that it might be restrictive. But can you just give me your experience on that?
Sure. It is, and it should be. And that's a good thing. Most, I spent a lot of time with other business owners, and many are not. Generally, they're not operators, nor are they integrators. They're usually visionaries that have to be integrators. And I can say that because I'm one of them, we need that. We need structure, and we need focus, and we need those tools. So it's generally, in my experience over the last couple of years, it's really not about ego. It's really just about, ignorance, and not in a bad way. Just we don't get it. We don't see we don't see the ability to focus and narrow and simplify. We don't see that as a business driver until you get hit over the head enough or punched in the gut enough to really give it a shot. So, certainly that is valid. But I would say to many, that is a good thing. It's really just about buying into it and really understanding how it can apply to your business.
Sure. Hey, and look, I know that you're working with Sarah, who is a fantastic implementer and a good friend of
Yeah.
mine. And she was saying to me that in our introductory email that, when you started the process, you went into focus day, which is the first day that we do, which is a little bit different to most consulting methods in that we don't cover the high level, big picture stuff. We actually go into, what's holding us back, how do we create the right structure, the accountability chart, and start putting things in place to actually do it. But that accountability chart exercise can be quite confronting. How did that go with your family? So who came into Focus Day and what came out of that?
Yeah. So Focus Day and that the people journey has been really interesting. Focus Day in particular, because when we went, it was myself, mom, dad, my sister Shannon, and a few other people, three other people that were just part of our company working in different roles, finance, marketing, and customer service. And when we got done with that focus day, my mom and dad were transitioned off of the leadership team along with another person. Really, really hard conversations around that, and a process that didn't just, it wasn't absolute right there. It was a process of many weeks and months. It was really just the acknowledgement of something had to change. So at that focus day, that was, excuse me, it was one of those watershed moments of, we don't have the right people, or the right people are not here that need to execute and run the business. Owners can be on the leadership team, and many are. But for us, we realized, my parents at the time were in their 60s. They were ready to slow down, transition. They didn't want to go to a 90-minute meeting every week. And we were sensitive to that. But there was also just other holes that we needed to fill. So we started that transition right then and there. And over a period of about a year, mom, dad, and my sister all were transitioned off of the leadership team. And those were really, really hard conversations I had to have with them. But those were, that just goes back to us just executing the plan. And we talk a lot internally about blaming it on EOS. It's not personal. It's not me. I didn't do it. We signed up for this. We signed up for EOS, and it's telling us what we need to do. So in the course of that year, it was mom, dad, my sister Shannon, and we had two other people that we had to transition off the leadership team to make sure that we had the people component right. And what we learned is that we still didn't have it right, and we had to keep working at it. But that was very interesting conversations around how the process looks, and what do you say? How do you start the conversation? How do you end it? Did you cry? Did they cry? Were they mad at you? Yes, in all of it. But we went through that because this was the part of the process that we knew if we were going to get this right, we're really going to do this. We had to be super vulnerable. We had to enter the danger, and we had to call it like it is. And those are really hard conversations. But now everybody's happy that we did it. It just took a little while.
Fair enough. And I mean, sort of 2 years down the track now. So what do mum and dad and sister, are they still involved in the business? What are they doing?
Yeah. So mom and dad are still involved in the business. They, when the pandemic started, one of the first things we did was we had to lay off 8 people. So that was a big part of our company, because we're about 30 plus people. That was a big part of our company. Yeah. But by nature, they had to go back to work in the everyday. And so they were not working every day. They were not working in the everyday part of the business. They were getting to enjoy some of the benefits of really being, a hands-off owner, very focused on culture, very focused on just being a presence. They like to say that they've got, 9 grandchildren, which is their immediate family, but 24 grandchildren, because we have lots of young families that work here. And so they were very focused on that. But when the pandemic started, they went back to work essentially full time, every day, 9 to 5. And since then, what was really neat was part of the EOS process. They get to fall in love with the business all over again. And so they got to not be owners in the sense of executing the business plan, but they got to fill really essential roles in the business. And so that gave them the opportunity to kind of redefine what their work-life balance looked like. And so they worked very heavily in the business during the pandemic. In 2021, as we transitioned out, they still worked almost every day. But they really found roles, my dad, so we do a lot of production, shipping orders, kitting orders for clubs and teams. My dad's a blue collar guy. Again, he never graduated from high school, no college education, never learned how to type. So he likes being back in the back with the crew that is, working with their hands all day. And my mom supports our finance and business affairs team. So these are important roles, but they're not ownership roles. They're not leadership roles, but they've really fallen in love with that. And so they don't work, they pulled back on their schedule, but they do still have a very active role, but we have worked hard at meeting them where they are. And so we kind of check in with them every quarter when we do, our ownership same page meetings. Yep. Mom and Dad, how are you feeling? Like, do you want to pull back more? Do you want to work more? And we really work hard at crafting those roles. But at the end of the day, they're high level contributors, but just not at an ownership or a leadership level. My sister Shannon does. She did transition out of the business. So we went from, she was on the leadership team. She left the leadership team, still an important role within the company, but over 2021, we realized that her gifting was outside of the company. And so December 31st of last year, so just a couple of weeks ago, was her last day at work. So she went to work somewhere else. She's still an owner. She's still very involved. We left all on great terms. And so we still lean on her heavily because she's got 15 years of tribal knowledge, locked in her head that we haven't been able to quite get out yet.
Yep.
All amicable, but it was all, these are all huge transitions and huge changes that we've done over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting, isn't it? Because this happens both with family members, but also with staff members. And people are always nervous because, this person's been in the business for a long, long time. But I can't speak on behalf of your sister, but often when they go and they find something else, they're a lot happier, as well as the business being in a better space because of it. Like, it isn't a negative because somebody chooses to go somewhere else, is it?
The hardest part is just making the decision and having the conversation.
Yeah.
Both Shannon and our company are healthier as a result of it. And that was a big moment for us. And it was a tough moment for, my dad just wanted my sister to be happy. Didn't matter if it was at all volleyball or working someplace else. My mom, she wanted to see her daughter every day, and she was kind of pissed off about it. But at the end of the day, my sister is healthier and happier, and so is the company. And we left on the right terms. So we get to see her. She doesn't work on Fridays. So the last 4 Fridays now, she's been in helping our young staff transition. And, we backfilled her role internally. So we were able to elevate somebody that's been with us for a while into that position, which has been really cool to see. Yeah. So she still comes in and helps out to make sure that the transition goes well. So, knock on wood, it's only been about a month, but it's been a really great move for everybody.
Excellent. That's great to hear. So in terms of the EOS journey, do you have any favorite tools that you've used in that journey?
Yeah, I would always point to the L10 meetings as been one of our favorite tools. I'm not so sure that I would call that a tactical tool because it's really one of the cornerstones of EOS, but that has been super helpful. Implementing them all of our departments. That has been very, very beneficial to us. I would say the tool that we pull out and we use the most is just continual gut checks on the accountability chart in our quarterly conversations. So these are tools, they were so hard for us to implement and to even feel like we were getting any type of traction or to get right. But we have learned that these 2 tools help us gain more clarity to that, like really just the everyday operating of the business and how we need to organize and structure feedback for our staff. So, we are trying to become experts at, right people, right seat, GWC, the whole model of the accountability chart. We are really working hard at that because to us, that's unlocking really the success of our business. And then how do we teach, coach, and really kind of upskill? We have a very young staff. Most of them have been with us for a really long time, but most of our staff is in their early 30s. And so as we give this next generation of leadership the opportunity to lead a growing company, these quarterly conversations have been really, really good because it's intentional feedback. and it's the same way delivered every time with the same scorecard. So everybody knows the playing field that they're on. And it's just been such a big deal for us, for all of the reasons and more that I've just described.
Okay. And so what would you say has been the biggest change in the organization since starting on that EOS journey?
Biggest change in the organization is that there really hasn't been a lot of change. Once we figured out what our long-term target was, we went through our core values exercise, and really we worked on those foundational tools. There has been, pivots and tweaks along the way, but we have maintained a pretty laser focus, and that is very different than especially the couple years preceding that. When I took over, we went from 1995 to 2015 or 2016, largely doing the same thing. And that is why we had slow and steady growth, but that's also why there was real risk to the business, is because we weren't changing fast enough. And when I took more of a leadership position within our company, man, I was changing everything. I was one of those guys that would go to the conference, realize we're not doing this and we have to do that. This created a very whiplash effect. And really what it did was it eroded the trust that people had in the direction of the company. And so that was, we laugh about it now. We have a lot of fun with it now, but there was a period of time where it was a really, really tough place to work because roles weren't defined. The direction we're pointing this way, and no one really knew who was in charge, because that was the time when Shannon and I were co-leading the company. And so the biggest change was that we went through this process and we said, unless the house is on fire, even at the risk of a global pandemic, we're not changing, because we're going to put in the work to make sure that whatever decisions we make, they're the right ones. And we're really going to stick to them. And so the biggest change is that we've moved in one simple direction for the last couple of years, and we've just reaped the benefits of it.
Yep. And that's got you through a pandemic as well. So you're not saying that you don't have to adjust to the environment, but you're laser sharp focus on what you're doing. Interesting. You talked about, setting up that long-term target, which we do in the VTO and the core values and things. Did you have that before EOS?
No,
excuse me. Or did you have it written down even, I should ask as well?
No, we had like 12 different versions of it. And that, again, that was a problem, is that our core values really weren't core values, and we did not have any long-term targets. I mean, in fact, I remember vividly realizing when I started thinking about the EOS process and what a long-term target meant, that I had been working for the company for, 5-6 years. And I didn't even know what my parents wanted. Dad, do you want it to be $100 million company, or do you want it to be 5? I never asked him that question. And so all of those were really groundbreaking for us. Now, it wasn't that we didn't try. I tried different versions of it, but again, that's why I fell back to, revisiting EOS, was because it's a very clear outline of the things that you have to accomplish. And so the answer is yes and no. If you were to ask me the question in a different way, hey, did you actually use any of these things to direct your business? I would say absolutely not. All I did was just confuse the shit out of people, and really just cause a lot of anxiety around there, because people really didn't know, one day to the next, probably not, but certainly weekly, monthly. Yep. People felt like change was always coming, and that was a hard transition for us to make. But now, yeah.
I love your honesty. Thank you so much. Just for those people who are listening who perhaps see the visionary traits in themselves, it is true that the visionaries often come with lots of different ideas. They're sort of all over the place in terms of where they're going. That's really important to take the business forward. But how did you feel having sort of structure put around that? Did you feel constrained? What was going through your mind as a visionary? Because I do have people who I talk to and they go, oh yeah, but I don't want to be constrained.
Yeah. It's hard. It was hard, realizing that I was in that role, and I was not the person that should be in that role. So it was hard. It was really just hard swallowing the idea of I'm not the right person in the right seat to be able to execute the business model and figuring out what that is, like early in our journey. It was hard realizing that person didn't exist at our company, and that we really needed to find that person if we wanted to make this work. And so, yes, it was hard from the moment that I started it. It is still hard. We have an excellent integrator now who does keep me focused, keeps our company focused. But we fight like brothers and sisters because to this day, I still get excited about new ideas. And so we are very much that classic pair, a duo, so to speak. But yes, like to this day, it is hard. Here's the thing though, is that once you start seeing some of the decisions that you make and focusing and letting your integrator, or if you can be that integrator, because there are people that can do both of those roles, when you stick to it and you see the results, staying focused becomes a lot easier. Once you see the results, whatever your results are, generally it's revenue and profit, but it could be, freedom of schedule. It could be, passing the business off to whatever your objectives are. Once you start seeing the results, it becomes a lot easier. But for a while there, it's really hard. And true visionaries, I don't ever think it goes away.
But what it has done, if I'm hearing you right, though, is it's actually given you now the freedom to go off and do other things outside of just being the visionary within the organization. Hey, where did you find your integrator, out of interest, and how?
I found my integrator. So we had a local recruiter in St. Louis that was helping us fill positions, marketing, sales positions that we needed to. And we spent a lot of time together, and she said, I have a friend that I think you should meet. I said, great. Like, tell me about her. And so the long story of it was, she was more accomplished than most people that we were looking for. We weren't even looking to hire her, but this recruiter that knew me well and knew her well said, I think you guys would make a good pair. And she was familiar with the EOS model. And so we met just informally. And we spent the better part of a year, about once a month, we would get together and talk. And, she will tell you that, one of the first conversations I had with her was, I don't have a role for you, and nor can I afford you. So I'm not really sure why we're talking, but Kelly told us that we should talk. So here we are, let's have some coffee. And that was a long, it was a long process to realize that she was, and I wasn't looking for an integrator, so to speak. I was actually looking for an adult, because we again, like that, this was back when most of our staff was in their late 20s, that could help me manage the business, help my sister and I manage the business. And what I realized was this person is classically an integrator. And so before we got serious about EOS, we took the rocket fuel assessment. And we realized that we both tested, that the equilibriums of ourselves were really skewed towards an integrator and a visionary. So it was a bit of happenstance. We have used other, companies, recruiting firms that specialize in finding integrators or finding people that fit in the EOS model, which all highly recommended. But for us, we were very lucky that she kind of was introduced to us and entered into our life right when we were starting that journey.
Perfect. Hey, so just for the listeners who don't know, so the rocket fuel test is a very quick online test that actually helps you to understand whether you are more likely to be on the visionary side or the integrator side. And as we know, if you can find a visionary and integrator who work together well, that's the perfect combination for taking a business forward, right?
It really is. And I railed against that for a long time, because integrators generally, I'm lucky enough to be very good friends and I enjoy working with our integrator, but that's not always the case. We certainly are not anything like each other, but they're expensive and they're hard to find. And so they're making that commitment is really tough. But I'm just, one of the reasons I feel it's important that I enter into the EOS community as a coach is because I'm still living and breathing this stuff every day. And I really can speak to the value of spending more money than you feel like you have, maybe even creating a position that you don't even know exists. But people, especially visionaries that want to make this work, not having somebody that can execute the business plan down to, your daily cadence of an L10. It's really the missing link to a lot of the stuff.
Fantastic. Hey, look, we're running short of time. It always seems to go so quickly when I'm having these conversations. So I'd like to thank you for sort of sharing all of that. Just in terms of tips and tools for the listeners, we like to give them 3 things they can take away. Could be something that you've done yourself or something in the business. What would you like to offer?
A couple things that I would say. First and foremost would be either find a system that you can use to operate your business or create one of your own, and don't deviate. Spend the time and the energy to find the right one, even if it's not an EOS or anything that's already been published. If you read the book, it's really not rocket science. It's really about, so if you can build your own system out of cobbling together the best of everything, the key is finding something and sticking to it. And for us, it was EOS. Many others, it is different business operating systems. And some of the most successful people I know that are in my EO forum or just in, just other counterparts, they don't run on any operating system. They just have built their own, but they're disciplined enough to use it. So my plea for any business owner that wants to find some peace and some profit and some purpose in their business is find that system, whatever that looks like commit to finding that system. The second thing that I would say, that we talk all the time about is we say, stop playing store. So when I say this, I mean, stop going through the motions, stop saying you're going to do something and then do the exact opposite, lean into the hard stuff. Everybody knows what you need to do. We're just all scared, all of us, all the time. And so that is really kind of taken on a life of its own. And we say, just stop playing store, lean into the tough stuff and do what we know is right for the business. And the last one is just get help. For us, I joined EO, which is, other business owners, and I'm part of a forum that I really enjoy and I appreciate. And then we hired an implementer, and again, they're super expensive. But getting help, whatever that looks like. So if that's a coach, if that's a professional organization, many times we're on an island, and our coworkers, even our families, they don't get it. And so finding that support, whether that's personal, professional, a combination of both, has just paid really big dividends for me, our business, and my family personally.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, that's great. So you're going to become an implementer very soon. If people want to talk to you about your journey and want to come on board with you, how would they get hold of you? Where would they find you, Corey?
Well, I'm going to be honest. My social game is pretty weak right now, but I am on LinkedIn. You can just, search Corey Lawson. But really the best way to reach me right now is just at my email address. And that's just Corey, Corey @allvolleyball.com. Those all come to me. So I hope that you're going to ask me that question in about 6 or 8 months, and I will have a website and I will have all kinds of other ways. But right now, that's just part of my transition. It's also just being really self-aware of where I'm at is, this business and brand building process. So best way, you either just go to our website, allvolleyball.com, fill out a form, it'll get to me, or you can email me and I'll get back to you within 1 business day.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Hey, well, look, again, congratulations on the best year ever last year. Congratulations on becoming an EOS implementer. And I look forward to catching up with you in the community as soon as we're allowed to travel again.
Yeah. Likewise. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And thanks for doing what you do for the community. It's awesome.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks, Corey.
All right. Bye.